Still with Trump, there are claims of an election breach already. Tell us about it.
Look, Pete, this is one of the really interesting aspects of US elections. How you vote can be just as important as who you vote for, and that's why we see so much fighting at a ground level about how the ballots are cast and counted. So remember, in the United States, you vote for the president at a federal level, but the laws are made for voting at a state level and administered at a local level in the counties. So each county makes their own rules, own hours for how the ballots can be cast and when. So the lawsuit from the Trump campaign was against Bucks County. That's just outside of Philadelphia. Now, what happened there was they had so many people going to vote early, and we've been told, similar to what we saw in Erie, Pennsylvania, that people just haven't been getting their ballots in the mail that they've applied for, so they go down physically so they can do it early. The process here is you can go in, line up, sign up for mail-in ballots, you get handed that mail-in ballot, you fill it in on the spot, and then you put it back in the box. And so that's how you vote early in person. It's still using a mail ballot, so it can be quite confusing. What happened in Bucks County was they said, we're so overwhelmed by people at 1 o'clock in the afternoon just after. They said, everyone go home. We're overwhelmed. We're done. That was against the law. They had to let anyone who was in line by 5 o'clock in. So a judge has now ruled in favour of Donald Trump, saying that, yes, that did disenfranchise voters, and now they do have to open again for multiple days so people can do early voting. Here's the RNC co-chairman talking about why they were taking this action ahead of the judge's decision.
We are not going to let them suppress our votes. We are going to fight. The Trump-Vance campaign has just filed a huge lawsuit against Bucks County for turning away our voters.
Pete, what's critical in this discussion is there are always lawsuits like this, but what was unprecedented in 2020 was all the lawsuits around how the votes were counted, which ones they wanted included, which ones they didn't want included. It ratcheted up to levels we've never seen before. So that's what people are bracing for, especially here in Pennsylvania. This is the key battleground state. There's 19 electoral college votes up for grabs, and it's essentially the one that if either campaign wins, both feel confident that they can get enough electoral college votes to claim the presidency. So this has been the absolute ground zero for these arguments. The governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, he is a Democrat. He was being touted as a potential vice president under Kamala Harris. He was passed over, but he's been on the campaign trail fighting for Kamala Harris. And he said he fought Donald Trump on all the lawsuits in 2020. He's ready to do it again.
You know, this is more of the same from Donald Trump. Remember, Caitlin, back in 2020, I served as the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, where Donald Trump attacked the Republican and Democratic clerks of elections here in Pennsylvania over and over and over again. He and his allies filed 43 different lawsuits. He took us to court 43 different times to make it harder for people to vote and then to make it harder for certain votes to be counted.
So, Pete, now we'll take it here to Lancaster County, where we are. This is one of the other counties in Pennsylvania that's already having fights over ballots. What's happened here is that there was a big bundle of voter registration pamphlets dropped off at the local county office. Now, what that should have done was register voters to then be able to cast ballots either by mail or on election day. But what local officials have said is that there were some of those that had evidence of fraud, and so they are investigating that, and it's led to claims that there is going to be more fraud, and it's played into what Donald Trump is already targeting in Pennsylvania, saying that this is going to be an issue when it comes to the final result.
Confirmed indicators of fraud that detectives came across were inaccuracies with the addresses listed on the applications, fake and false personal identification information, as well as false names. Also applications that contain names that did not match the provided Social Security information.
So this is why it gets so messy and complicated. Trump's critics say that he just wants to find votes so he can win. He wants to have 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And we saw he didn't win any of the legal cases he brought in 2020 to find votes, invalidate other votes. But the concern is that this is going to be a contested result and it could take days, weeks, months to settle through the courts. Donald Trump has posted on Truth Social, wow, York County, Pennsylvania received thousands of potentially fraudulent voter registration forms and mail-in ballot applications from a third-party group. This is on top of Lancaster County being caught with 2,600 fake ballots and forms, all written by the same person. Really bad stuff. What's going on in Pennsylvania? Law enforcement must do their job immediately. Wow. What this does is really hinder confidence among voters as well as they're lining up for hours just to get their early ballots in. Many look at it and just say, look, this is too difficult, and if I cast my ballot, it won't matter anyway. And that's exactly what officials don't want to happen. They want as many people to vote as possible. And what we've seen when we've talked to voters is they do feel strongly about this election, and many have waited until Election Day because they don't want to deal with the headaches of early voting. What's the most important issue for you this election?
Probably inclusion and racism and immigrant support. We work with an immigrant family here in Lancaster from Congo, and so, you know, having traveled a lot myself, I feel strongly about sharing resources with the rest of the world. I'm scared. But I was scared 8 years ago and disappointed. I just can't believe it's this close. I mean, in America, you know, what happened to our compassion? And he's such a lying, misogynistic, racist.
Pete, when she says she can't believe it's this close, that's what we're hearing from everybody, but it really does have the sense that it is just this close. The polls show that it is going to be a razor-thin result in Pennsylvania, and this could be the state that ultimately decides who becomes the next president.